Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Welcome, Bruce.
Hey, David, how are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm feeling good, Bruce. We were talking earlier today. I thought the Oilers could do it. This is a different Oilers team than last year, and for a while there, it was in doubt. That's for sure. When we were talking about it, my point was if Smith lets in the first grade A chance, the Oilers are probably going to lose the game. And that's exactly what happened. He let in the first grade A shot. There had been other fairly difficult shots, though, like a number of grade B shots before then. So he had been playing well, but the Oilers got down 2-0 and managed to come back in this game. So, Bruce, last year at this time, the Oilers, this year the Oilers have in 46 games, 24 wins and 22 losses. Last year at this time, 22 wins and 24 losses. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot. That's a significant difference. And I see a different team this year. And it's really becoming clear, obviously, on this road trip. I mean,
well, if we're talking about this year as in 2020, I'm seeing a different team this year too, because they turned it around when the calendar changed there.
Well, Yamamoto's call-up.
This whole road trip, eh?
Yeah, Yamamoto's call-up has made a pile of difference in a number of kind of subtle ways, because I think it's not just up the top two lines, but it's maybe, I don't know, has it solidified the bottom lines a bit? I think so, maybe.
I think it stabilized the whole picture. Like the instead of having three bottom nine lines, they have a top six and a bottom six I mean, there's one line in the bottom six that's a little bit of a catch-all, and the other one that's pretty stable. And and tonight it was the bottom six that got the job done. They scored 3 of the 4 goals were Cheyenne, Chiasson, and Archibald. And only Nugent Hopkins on the power play connected from the usual suspects for scoring goals for Edmonton. So that bottom six had a big game, and
they scored an empty netter, Bruce.
Yeah.
One of the worst stats right now is the Oilers' record in 1-0 games, because it might lead you to think, oh, the Oilers have been, because they have this, what was it, this huge discrepancy.
That's great record, yeah.
Yeah, but it's because they don't have a lot of close games because they give up empty net goals and they never score them.
Or they lose in overtime, which they give credit for. They don't call it a loss; they call it the.
Yeah. I'm not too worried about that, because some people might say, well, all these close games have gone their way, so that's gonna come back and haunt them. I don't buy that for a second mainly because of the empty net goal thing, which I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, well, they got one tonight, and they salted away at 4-2, and. That's the sad story for if you're a Montreal fan. Now they've lost 8 games in a row, and their net goal differential is -10. And in that time, they've allowed 2 empty netters, meaning basically they lost 8 games in a row by 1 goal. That's gotta hurt. And they only got 1 of them into overtime. So they got 1 point, and basically 8 consecutive one goal games. I mean, that's brutal. That is.
They do not.
I've got to laugh, but that's brutal.
They do not look like a very good team. Like, honestly.
Well, they had this game. Was there for the taking. They were up 2-0, and the Oilers were very unsharp for the first significant portion of the game. I was funny the first period. I was seeing lots of good plays by Oilers, individual Oilers, but they couldn't make a damn pass.
Every bounce went against them.
Yeah, there was never any flow to it. But you could see this player would have a really good shift and do 2 or 3 things right, but the puck would never sort of pay attention and go in the right direction.
Every bounce went against them until Thompson hit the post. And then the Oilers got the biggest bounce of the game. Yeah. And after that, they got all the bounces. It seemed like after that, everything changed. They were sharp, and they were getting tape-to-tape passes, and it's all working out.
Thompson could take that shot 50 more times from that angle. There's no way he could hit the post on the inside like that and have it go right across the goal line. I mean, man, a millimeter to the side, and that thing's probably in the net, right?
So this is our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast, Bruce. What is your good thing?
Well, I'm going to single out from a fine bottom six a guy who didn't score a goal, and that is Joachim Nygaard.
Not Gustav Nyquist?
Yeah. Not
I always call him?
Yeah, no. I'm going to go with Joachim Nygaard.
Okay.
Shin pad. And I thought he was absolutely terrific in this game. I noticed him right away, Hawk just all over the puck, and on the backtrack, and in the offensive zone, coming on up behind guys and taking it off them, or coming out from behind the net. I mean, he had at least two very good wraparound shots. In fact, I think three. And then he had another play where he wrapped around from behind the net and tried a sharp pass across the crease to Sheahan, but he was always attacking Price from the end boards. And none of those worked out to be a goal, but he did make a key play on the Sheahan goal that got Oilers back in the game at 2-1. And again, that was because of largely because of Nygaard winning a battle to get the puck, and then a little bit of a lucky bounce where the guy kind of checked him and it went right to like
Did they
first I
give
thought he
Nygaard an
passed it.
assist?
Oh, if they didn't, they got yes,
They did?
yes,
Good. I was
yeah.
hoping you'd get a point because
Cheyenne from Nygaard and Larson, and
excellent.
rightfully so because Buddy checked him, but he basically knocked the puck off of
Yeah.
Nygaard's stick right onto. So it's not like he had possession or anything. But he was, man, he was just digging and I was complimenting him in the first period, and I guess obviously someone in the broadcast crew noticed because they had him on for a between periods interview, and you noticed because I saw you put a little comment in the scoring chance summary saying Nygaard has earned himself an NHL job, and I basically this he looked like an NHL player tonight and a good one, and they commented about how he himself said he had to adjust to the battle level and basically give 100% on every puck. And he certainly walked that walk tonight because he was all over the puck like a sweat. So good on him.
And confident with the puck, like not
Hmm.
only battling hard, but when he had the puck, he made a number of really strong plays. I think he might be someone. I think when he finally got up to the McDavid line and he had about 3 games there, I think he was a little bit odd and not wanting to handle the puck and nervous about it. I thought I saw that he looked like his game got worse with McDavid in terms of making plays. He might be better off in this role. So this actually segues to my good thing, Bruce, which is for the first time this year, they've had a good first line pretty much all the year, right?
Hmm.
But in the last few games, they've had a good two lines. This was the first time all year long, and I think this is a big moment for the team because this is what has to happen. This is what happens with a good team, where you get three good lines, and for the first time, they had three good lines. So since Yamamoto's been called up and James Neal has been playing a little bit better, they've had the two top lines, and now McDavid and Draisaitl are centering their own lines. They can concentrate on defense, and I think Bruce, both of their defense has improved significantly since they've been the centers of their own line, having that
Hmm.
fundamental responsibility, and no one. They're not always looking to make the switch or who's the
No,
center,
just
who's the
after
winger.
you, Alphonse. Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's going right. There's a lot that starts to go right when you put McDavid and Draisaitl on their own lines defensively, and they were killing the Oilers a little bit for a whole month with their defensive play. But tonight, we've seen this line of Nyquist or Nygaard. I always get it wrong. Nygaard, Sheahan, and Archibald in the past. We've probably seen them together 5 or 6 games, and I've always liked it. I don't like Jujhar Khaira on that line. Like, despite his recent problems, which we're going to get into, I don't like Khaira on that line anyway, period, because he's not fast. That line's not fast enough to match an NHL scoring line when you have both Khaira and Sheehan on that line. They're both bigger, slower players. And they're just not agile enough, quick enough to get it done as a checking line. But suddenly you put Nygaard out there with Archibald, and those guys are
Oh,
holy terrors.
okay.
I'd
Putting
like to
all
play
over
against those two
the two
buzzsaws.
of them. Yeah, two of them, two buzzsaws is right.
And
And they.
Shane's a force, like he's big,
Hmm.
smart. I like it. So
Well,
three lines, Bruce.
yeah, and the deal is now they've got speed on every line. That's where the Yamamoto thing has really changed things. I wrote about that in the game day today because, of course, McDavid line, you can put him with, you know, anybody, and the line is still going to have speed,
Hmm.
just through the grace of McDavid. Uh, but Draisaitl, they had him earlier. They had him playing with a couple of lumbering wingers, and it wasn't necessarily working. Or they had Nuge with a couple of lumbering wingers, and that wasn't working either. But now you have Leon, was the closest thing to a lumbering guy on the line with Nuge and Yamamoto, and they can all three motor. And I mean, Leon, he had the big motor going tonight. He was really buzzing. Two-way game. I thought he played really well. But yeah, that third line, and there's lots to like. They were excellent on the one penalty kill that the Oilers had tonight. And Archibald, his fundamentals are just so good. And he finishes his checks. He's moving his feet. He's in pretty good position most of the time. He gets beat. Most guys get beat sometimes, but he's getting it. Uh,
Yeah,
he's contributing positively to the team, and his speed and Nygaard together makes that a quick line. And of course, the other line's got Gaetan Haas on it.
yeah.
So,
So if you can find, so they have the center, I think, for a fourth line. I think Gaetan
hmm
Haas is showing that he could be a fourth line NHL center. And if he can find, so I think Chason also is an NHL hockey player. So it's just actually finding the last ingredient on that particular line, who could be Jujhar Khaira still, it could be Patrick Russell, maybe it's going to be someone else, Tyler Benson, who knows, like who's going to get that chance. Um, it does make Benson call up a little less likely, I think, in that he would be called up to the fourth line, but he might at some point. He's been in the minors quite a while now, like it's like a year and a half.
hmm
He's a forward. How much more is he going to improve in the AHL? So like I don't think I think
a
a
year
year
and
and
a
a half in the
half is
AHL for a
kind of
forward
ideal.
is
Kind of
plenty.
ideal, yeah.
Yeah, so like call him up to the fourth line, have him play that checking role, and then work his way up. I don't see that as a tragedy for Tyler Benson if that were to happen. Bruce, let's. This is a ripe moment to move to your bad thing, though. I think so. Let's do that.
Yeah, yeah. I hate to
Right
single
now.
out the same guy. We've been kind of beating this guy up a bit lately, but Jujhar Khaira, man, is he struggling? And and I will give him some credit for winning a board battle on the game-winning goal. So I mean, let's keep that in the good column before we get into the bad things. But there was an absolutely brutal line change on the first Habs goal, where Montreal had possession, moving with the puck through the neutral zone towards Edmonton territory, and Kara decides to glide over to the bench. Then he changes his mind and tries to go into the defensive zone. Well, by then James Neal has already jumped through the board over the boards. Now they got too many, and they got their signals crossed. And by the time they figured out who was staying on the ice, the puck was in the net, and that was a big part of it. And then he had a brutal giveaway late in the first period that led to a Montreal scoring to just a weak clearance right to the guy on the point. And then there was one. It was more comical. Well, I mean, it just resulted in a bad thing, but he got caught out on a line change with McDavid, and McDavid hit Caro in full stride going through the neutral zone. Perfect pass right on his stick. Here you got Kara going up the ice with McDavid. You think, well, this looks promising. And 2 seconds later, a Montreal guy had a clear cut breakaway after Kara got stripped of the puck outside the blue line, fell, apparently tripped over the blue line. Not that it mattered by then because he was beat by the one check. And then the guy who stole it off him sent a quick pass the other way. And all of a sudden, that's the one that hit the post, right?
For Kara's
Yeah.
sake, yeah, for Kara's
Oh,
sake, I was hoping they wouldn't score. Like honestly,
yeah.
I just thought like
So close.
because it was such a stumble bum play. It reminded
Uh,
me if they had scored. There was a play that signaled Justin Schultz's end in Edmonton, and it was there was a puck lofted high into the air at center ice, and he tried to
hmm
bat it down with his hand, and he
Oh,
missed
yeah.
it, and they
hmm
went in. And I think either they scored, they probably scored, and that was the end. Like it had become so toxic for
Yeah.
Justin Schultz in Edmonton. He needed to be moved, and we're getting this happens in
Yeah.
Edmonton. I don't know if it happens in
Well,
every
yeah, this,
Canadian seat, but we're getting there with Kara, where he would probably benefit from a change of scenery and
that
like
was key.
maybe he can bounce back. Like you never say never with a player, and he's just a role player, so he doesn't have to. And he's a good penalty killer still. He's
hmm
okay penalty killer,
Yep. He's
but
got the best
man,
PK stats on the team. That's the reason that he's still in the lineup. Like he was practicing on the fifth line yesterday, but as I noted in the game day this morning, that Gagne was in his spot, but who's going to take his spot on the penalty kill? And eventually
yeah,
Tippett came back to Kara. And that
absolutely.
one play, though, it was just Keystone Cops. It was like
Yeah.
Talk about things going south in a hurry. That was such a play as that. But then, like I say, to his credit, at least he wasn't any kind of great play, but it was, joined the battle on the boards that helped create the possession that led to Alex Chason's game-winning goal, and a very sweet moment for a Montreal native to get that one. So
Yeah.
I was rooting for Alex Chason in this game especially, and it was kind of nice to see that.
Jason, I think, can play in the NHL.
Mhm.
He's like so many of the Oilers. He's like James Neal, bigger, slower player. Dreisaitl's not slower, but so many of these, if they get their feet moving and they play a physical game. So Jason, he's got to get it in his head. That's his whole game, like every game to earn his spot in the NHL. He can't do it on finesse. He's got to move his feet and play a physical game. He should only be playing about 10 minutes a night at even strength. So he's got to get out there and hit. And in a fourth line role with Haas and one other player, I think we might have four lines, Bruce. And that's when it's gonna get really good. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
Well,
Uh,
he's now up to 15 points on the season in 40 games. So that's half of a 30-point season. That doesn't stink. Like, I mean,
that's
I heard a
Kara. Who's
lot
that?
of
Is that
no.
that's
This is no. This is uh,
oh Chason.
Alex
Yeah, Chason.
Chason,
Yeah.
and 6 goals, 9 assists, and he's been good on the power play. The power play's been extremely productive when he's been out there, whether he's scoring or not. But when he's doing the net front job, the power play has done very well. And at even strength, like he's not a big scorer, but he does. Uh, I've heard a lot of complaining about that contract, and I mean, there's no way he's going to outperform 2.15 million the way he outperformed 650,000 last year. But he has value as a player. Like, you know, you may not like the contract, but that doesn't mean you have to hate the player. I mean, maybe he's a $1.5 million player or $1.3 million player, but he's got value to the team, and he showed it tonight.
He's not that overpaid. In other words,
Hmm.
he's not that overpaid. In other words, like he's
Right.
overpaid, but not. It's not a killer contract.
Hmm.
And we're tracking his even strength play with our grade A scoring chances project about the same as it was last year. The difference is his puck luck and his shooting has declined considerably. He's not a great two-way player. He's a fourth line player in the NHL. He was last year, and he is this year. So last year he got on a hot shooting streak, and good
Hmm.
for him. Let's go to my bad thing, Bruce, which was, and this is an interesting one because I don't know if he's made the bad thing list more than two or three times, if that this
If at
year,
all.
if at all. This may be Ethan Bear's first appearance in the no category. So Ethan Bear,
Hmm.
he's been the Oilers' most consistent defenseman. I'm going to say. He's been through the least amount of bad games, bad streaks, but tonight, man, he was struggling. The good things that he does, he was not even connecting on the passing of the puck, the smart plays. His passes were a little bit off, and the bad things that he does. Or that he did in the past, which was defending, were in evidence. He made four major mistakes on grade A chances against, which is a really rough night for an NHL defenseman. Like one or two, okay, that's par for the course. Four, you're really struggling out there. He looked to me like for the first time this year, like that young defenseman who came up. Uh, when is that? Spring of 2017, I guess, and just leaked scoring chances against. At that point, just was in way
Hmm.
over his head.
Yeah,
We haven't seen that player at all this
very
year,
little.
and I just think he was played 24-58 tonight. He's been heavy rotation. Every player's going to have a bad game. Tonight was Ethan Bear's turn to have that kind of
Thought he looked a little nervous, and I wonder if it was the first game in the Bell Center and maybe, a big moment
could be.
in anybody's career. And like there was just a couple plays tonight where I thought he looked nervous, and Brendan Gallagher owned him in the one-on-ones a couple of times, just
Oh, that's a
owned him.
tough player, eh? To
Yeah,
face.
yeah.
He burrs into you, right? Like he's just on
Hmm.
you and he's going. Like maybe that's it. Maybe it's as simple as that. He met a similar kind of build, similar kind of player, and hockey happens fast out there. It's easy to make mistakes.
0 shot attempts and 5 giveaways is Easton Bear's stat line tonight, and that's not pretty.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
and as you say, 4 scoring chances against. So that's not pretty
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, Nurse wasn't on it in his tip top playing his tip top game either. Like he had a terrible. There was one terrible break that they had because he was caught up ice. But anyway, Bruce, what is your number tonight?
Well, my numbers have to do with Darnell Nurse, and just basically from the sheet, he led the Oilers defense in ice time, which doesn't always happen. Just a few seconds ahead of Oscar Klefbom, 26 minutes 14 seconds. Uh, Most shifts, most even strength ice time, the most shots and shot attempts from the blue line, 3 and 5 respectively. The most hits with 3, and the most block shots with 4. He just played a ton, and he wasn't. He didn't get a lot done offensively. Like he didn't create a lot. He didn't get. The shots weren't exactly him bearing down on Carey Price, but he was tonight to a larger extent than we usually see. I thought carrying his partner, he was cleaning up a few messes, and
Yeah.
I thought he played a mature game, Darnell. He got beat a couple times, and like even one time he got caught out of position, and he kind of rode the guy off where the guy came in and he got a one-handed shot away, and the Habs fans, of course, wanted a penalty, but it was just he didn't panic, and I thought he was solid. Like that's some of the criticisms about Nurse is that he's erratic, but to me he delivered some very big minutes for the Oilers tonight.
Yeah, my criticism of him is mainly based on the one play actually that stood out. But after that, he was really solid. So I agree with you. Like he had a pretty good game. Wonder what Kurt will give him. Kurt Levens is grading the game tonight. What's your
Mhm.
guess? What do you think he'll give Nurse? 7, 6?
I'll guess 6.
I'll guess
I'll guess
7.
6. So
All right. We could even check maybe. My number. My number is the ice time of the Oilers' bottom pairing defenseman Caleb Jones 7:46 and -2. Chris Russell 11:46. Russell was more of a major culprit on the first goal because it was his man he let through. But really, I think that first goal was on the on Kara letting those guys at speed
yeah.
come through the shot and the big rebound, which is a bit of bad luck, but that it happens. And
Hmm.
so Caleb Jones, though, man, he made a stinker of a play on the second goal where he got caught up on the ice on a bad pinch, leading to a 3-on-2 play,
Hmm.
and then a screenshot went in the net. So I can see why the coach might have been leery to play him. It's interesting, I don't like the big ice times. I guess when I see them for Clefbaum and Nurse like that, I just think the Oilers weren't. I don't think the Oilers were at their best. The Oilers forwards weren't at their best when McDavid and Draisaitl were playing all that ice time, or
Right.
maybe they had big ice time games tonight. I didn't even check, but I don't think they were at their best, Bruce. And I think that the defense you need 3 functioning pairs. And I actually think Jones and Russell is a pretty good pair. Like for a third pairing, I think they'll get it. I think they're strong enough. Obviously, if Benning comes back and can play at the level he was playing at before he left, shortly before he left, that'll be an improvement. But I just wonder how this is going to. The coach seems to have Caleb Jones on a short string, I guess is what I would say, and there's not much of an appetite for mistakes. Perhaps that's the right way to play it. Don't let him get too exposed. Maybe if you played him in the third period and he let in a goal, then his confidence is totally gone and you're done. So maybe he's doing the player a favor by kind of limiting his ice time and taking it easy. And so I'll give Tippett credit as opposed to criticizing him. Maybe he's got it figured out and is managing this player's ice time quite well. But I do think Jones is an NHLer. I've consistently said that, and I think he's going to step up here. And I just hope he and Russell can start to play more like 14 minutes a game rather than you know
Yeah.
8 and 12.
Yeah. Well, he never played a shift in the third period.
Yeah.
He played four minutes in the first, 3 minutes in the second, and I mean the goal against that he really got burned on that bad pinch.
Yeah.
He must have played after that because that was early in the period, but he
He
had
did get.
a
He did.
fairly
Yeah.
fairly short shift after that. But there was one play that stood out to me in the first period where Jones was going back, and the Montreal forwards they were pressing hard, especially early in the game, and the Oilers defense did not have much time to make plays. And there was a play where Jones was going out and looked like the Montreal guy had the angle on him, and suddenly he made a quick turn to the outside, and on his backhand, because of course he's playing his weak side, but just with his skating legs, he created enough room for himself to beat the guy wide and go around and up the boards and get the puck out to safety. And I thought, yeah, that is NHL caliber skating right there, and he's got the good wheels, and they're going to see him out of trouble a few times, and that was one example where they did.
So the best thing about him, Bruce, is when I'm watching Chris Russell on his offside. When I'm watching Chris Russell on his offside, I notice that he's on his offside
Right.
7 times, 8 times a game. When I'm watching Caleb Jones play his offside, I hardly ever notice it. It never occurs to me that he's on the wrong side. So it's because he's a strong enough skater and passer, puck mover to limit that kind of damage that you see with someone who's like Russell just throwing the puck weakly up the boards to clear it out in desperation.
Give the Carolina Cowboy credit, though. He made a good play on the game-winning goal, playing right defense on the blue line.
He did.
When he made that fake slap shot, and he froze everybody, and he fed it over to Klefbom, and they were able to make the play from there. And that was a crafty veteran kind of play by Russell, and it worked. So,
well, you and I are longtime Chris Russell fans, and I feel the team will miss him.
He does some good things, yeah.
When he's not with the Oilers, we're gonna say, boy, it'd be nice to have a versatile defensive stalwart, penalty killing ace like Chris Russell out there now and then, because that's exactly what he is. If they can replace him with as good a player, and I mean they are getting this whole new generation of young defensemen.
Yeah, he's on.
Bouchard's going to be ready sooner than later, and
it's not much longer for oil country, I don't think, and there's a
Yeah.
very good chance he'll be gone this summer. But I'd be surprised if they traded him during the season, just because they don't want to over rely on rookies. I mean,
They're not
tonight
trading
we
him.
saw with Jones and Bear, we saw that rookies can be vulnerable, and especially when you turn up the heat on them, they make mistakes.
Yeah. So Calgary on Saturday. Here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
4-point game, big game.
Mm-hmm.
So
although even a loss on Saturday, I mean, I'll go there, but even a loss on in Calgary, this would be a highly successful road trip with 3 wins and a betting point, which they've already secured through 4 games. But to win a 4th game and come home with 9 out of 10 points would be absolutely sweet.
Who would have predicted that?
No one. I mean, who would predict the Oilers are going to go into Boston, Toronto, Montreal, 3 original 6 teams, and walk away with 3 regulation wins, outscoring them by a combined 14 goals to 7. Gotta love it. Like, this is a real high point of the season for Oil fans.
And that Mike Smith, Mike Smith would be the winning goalie
in all 3 games. Yeah, unreal.
What a
that's shocking to me. And he played well tonight. Like, they named him first star in the broadcast. And you know who was the first star in the building? Because they picked different stars in the broadcast. Connor McDavid was named the first star of this game.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I didn't either. But his one visit a year obviously impressed somebody, and he did some impressive things.
I thought Draisaitl actually was more of a force tonight. But
but this was really a game also for the foot soldiers. So it's nice to see the Montreal boy, Alex Chiasson. He was the one guy who was picked among the 3 stars on both. The other 2 stars were mutually exclusive from the one set to the other. But Chiasson clearly impressed some people tonight. So
I would have picked my old friend Gustav Nyquist.
Mm-hmm. That guy. Nygaard,
that guy.
Shin guard.
Oh, that's how I remember it.
Yeah, shin pad. Nygaard, shin pad. Now I got it. Shin pad.
Oh, now there. I was wondering what you meant by shin pad. Now I know. Okay. Yeah, I would have picked Nygaard. He was fantastic. So, all right, Bruce. Thanks for talking tonight.
Yeah, thanks for beating the Habs, Oilers. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.